Right, let's get one thing straight. Building a modern fighter jet is not something you do in your shed over a weekend. It is, to put it mildly, a staggeringly difficult and eye-wateringly expensive business. You need a country with a colossal economy, a military budget the size of a small planet, and thousands upon thousands of the world's cleverest people all pulling in the same direction. Think America with its F-22s and F-35s. Think Russia with its flankers. Then you have Sweden, a lovely place full of sensible people who give us flat-pack furniture, incredibly safe cars, and meatballs. It's a country with a population smaller than London, a budget that wouldn't cover the catering bill for the Pentagon, and a national obsession with being reasonable. So when the Swedes stood up in the 1980s and announced, "Right then, we're going to build our own world-beating, fourth-generation, multi-role combat aircraft," the rest of the world did what any sane person would do. They laughed. They laughed until they cried. It was like watching your mild-mannered accountant declare he was going to win the heavyweight boxing championship of the world. The challenges facing Saab were, to use a technical term, biblical. First, there was the money, or rather the lack of it. Sweden's defense budget was a mere rounding error compared to what the United States was pouring into its advanced tactical fighter programs. Every single krona had to be accounted for. There was no room for over-engineering, for vanity projects, or for teams of engineers to spend 5 years designing a single bolt. Next up was the technology. The 1980s was a period of explosive change in avionics, materials, and computer systems. The Americans were pioneering stealth technology and super-powerful engines. To even be in the same league, the Gripen needed a state-of-the-art fly-by-wire system, a powerful and reliable engine, an advanced radar, and the ability to integrate a whole suite of complex weapons. They had to coordinate with hundreds of suppliers, from Volvo Aero for the engine, a license-built version of a General Electric F-404, to Ericsson for the radar. It was a national effort, a massive collaborative jigsaw puzzle, where one missing piece could bring the whole thing crashing down. The Gripen had to be maintained by a small team of conscripts, some of whom were probably more interested in their weekend plans than the intricacies of hydraulic accumulators. So what makes the Gripen so brilliant? Well, it's not because it's the fastest, it isn't. The MiG-31 will leave it for dust. It's not the stealthiest either. An F-22 Raptor is basically invisible, and it doesn't carry the most bombs. What makes the Gripen special is that it's exquisitely, beautifully, and ingeniously balanced. It's the automotive equivalent of a Mazda MX-5. It may not have the raw power of a muscle car, but it's light, nimble, perfectly poised, and can dance rings around bigger, clumsier rivals. The Gripen is a masterpiece of efficiency, a triumph of doing more with less. It is, in short, the thinking man's fighter jet. One of its cleverest features is its size and weight. It's tiny. Park it next to a Eurofighter Typhoon or a French Rafale, and it looks like their kid brother. But this small size is a massive advantage. A lighter aircraft needs a less powerful and therefore less thirsty engine. This slashes running costs. The cost per flight hour for a Gripen is a fraction of what it costs to operate an F-35. For countries without a bottomless pit of money, this is a game changer. And we can't forget its party trick, the ability to operate from anywhere. The Gripen was designed to meet Sweden's unique Cold War doctrine of dispersing its air force to survive a surprise attack. A ground crew, consisting of just one technician and 5 conscripts, can land, refuel, rearm with air-to-air and air-to-ground munitions and get it back in the air in less than 10 minutes. Try doing that with an F-22 on a public highway. You can't. It's a level of operational flexibility that is quite simply unmatched. With the plan in place, the real work began. The late 1980s at the Saab factory in Linköping must have been an extraordinary place to be. It was a hive of activity, a cauldron of innovation where the future of Sweden's defence was being forged in metal and silicon. Engineers, designers and technicians worked shoulder to shoulder, fueled by coffee and a shared sense of national purpose. They weren't just building an aeroplane, they were proving a point. The design philosophy was centred on something the Swedes call lagom, which roughly translates to just the right amount. It's the art of not being excessive. Every component, every system and every line of code was scrutinised. Did it need to be this complex? Could it be made lighter? Could it be made more reliable? They chose a single, proven engine, the Volvo RM12, a modified General Electric F-404, instead of developing a temperamental new one. This saved a fortune and guaranteed reliability from day one. Integrating all the different parts was a monumental task. You had an American engine, a Swedish airframe, a British landing gear, and an Ericsson radar that had to work perfectly with weapons from all over the world. The key to making this symphony play in tune was the revolutionary computer system. The Gripen was one of the first aircraft in the world to use a fully digital, federated avionics architecture. The result of all this hard work was the first prototype, designated 39-1. Rolling out of the hangar for the first time, it looked every bit the part. The day was December 9th, 1988. The air in Linköping was cold and thick with anticipation. For the thousands of Saab employees and Swedish officials gathered to watch. This was more than just a test flight. The pilot, Stig Holmström, strapped himself into the cockpit of the prototype Gripen 39-1. He was a man carrying the hopes of a nation on his shoulders. The pre-flight checks were completed with meticulous care. Every switch was flicked, every gauge was checked. With a final clearance from the control tower, Holmström advanced the throttle. The Volvo RM12 engine spooled up with a rising crescendo, a sound that cut through the chilly air. Then, with the brakes released, it surged forward. It accelerated down the runway with a ferocity that surprised many onlookers. It was light, it was powerful, and it was eager to fly. In what felt like just a few seconds, it had reached takeoff speed. Holmström gently pulled back on the stick, and the Gripen lifted gracefully into the Swedish sky. It was airborne. A roar went up from the crowd, a wave of relief and pure, unadulterated joy. The 32-minute flight was, by all accounts, a stunning success. Holmström put the jet through a series of gentle maneuvers, testing its basic handling and the response of its revolutionary fly-by-wire control system. Every great story has a moment of crisis, a point where it all could have gone horribly wrong. For the Gripen program, that moment arrived on February 2nd, 1989, during its sixth test flight with the same pilot, Stig Holmström. At the controls, disaster struck. As he was coming in to land, the aircraft suddenly began to pitch up and down violently. The oscillations became more and more severe until, tragically, the Gripen's left wingtip struck the runway. The impact sent the aircraft cartwheeling across the airfield in a cloud of snow and debris before it came to rest, battered and broken. Miraculously, Stig Holmström escaped with only a fractured elbow, but the prototype, the only flying example of the Gripen in the world, was a complete wreck. But this is where the Swedish character truly shone through. Instead of pointing fingers and assigning blame, the entire team, engineers, pilots and management, rallied together. They didn't see a failure, they saw a problem that needed to be solved. After overcoming the crash and perfecting the flight control system, the Gripen entered service with the Swedish Air Force in 1996. It was a proud moment, but the ultimate test of its success would be on the international market. This was perhaps an even greater challenge than building the jet in the first place. Selling fighter jets is a brutal business, dominated by political arm-twisting, industrial offsets, and the sheer marketing might of the superpowers. The first big breakthrough came in 1999 when South Africa chose the Gripen over its rivals. It was a massive victory. It proved that the Gripen wasn't just a niche European fighter, but a genuine world beater. After that, the dominoes began to fall. The Czech Republic and Hungary, newly minted NATO members, chose to lease the Gripen, a brilliant and innovative solution that gave them a top-tier capability without a crippling upfront cost. Then came Thailand, a key strategic partner in Southeast Asia. The biggest prize of all came in 2014, when Brazil, a rising global power, selected the Gripen NG, now Gripen E and F, for its massive FX-2 fighter competition. They turned down the American F/A-18 Super Hornet and the French Rafale in favor of the Swedish jet. So what is the Gripen's legacy? It's far more than just a collection of metal, wires and carbon fiber. It is a flying testament to a different way of thinking. In an age of ever-increasing complexity and cost, the Gripen is a beacon of intelligent design, efficiency and pragmatism. It proved that a small nation, through sheer cleverness and determination, could compete with and even beat the world's aerospace giants. It fundamentally changed the global conversation about what is possible in military aviation, creating a new market for fighters that are affordable, adaptable, and sustainable over the long term. For Sweden, the Gripen is a source of immense national pride. It's a symbol of the country's technological prowess and its independent spirit. The project sustained thousands of high-tech jobs and positioned Sweden as a world leader in fields like software engineering, systems integration, and advanced composites. The little jet that was born out of a Cold War necessity has become one of Sweden's most successful and prestigious exports, an ambassador of Swedish ingenuity flying in skies all over the world. The Gripen's story is also a lesson in teamwork and resilience. From the engineers who designed it, to the pilots who tested its limits, to the mechanics who keep it flying from frozen roadsides, the aircraft is the product of a uniquely collaborative spirit. They faced down the skeptics, they overcame a catastrophic failure, and they took on the biggest players in the industry and won. It's a story of how a small, dedicated group of people with a clear vision can achieve the seemingly impossible. It's the spirit of David versus Goliath, of the underdog coming out on top, and it's utterly brilliantly inspiring. In the end, the Saab Gripen is more than just a very, very good aeroplane. It is a statement. It says you don't have to be the biggest to be the best. It says that clever thinking will always triumph over brute force. It says that even when the whole world is telling you that your dream is impossible, you should nod politely, get on with the job, and prove them all wrong. And for that, for showing the world that there is a smarter way to do things, the little Gripen from Sweden deserves a place among the greatest aircraft ever built. Full stop.